Under the red moonlight, Mei walked past Shunsu, who muttered a quiet goodbye. She approached Bugai, who patted her head and bid farewell. Before Mei could say goodbye in return, she was interrupted. The scene shifts to Mei standing alone, wearing headphones and holding her phone with a foxstone charm attached. A flashback occurs as she watches a group of happy girls. It's her birthday and her friends are present, but then she starts speaking to floating orbs only she can see. This terrifies the other children and confuses Mei, who realizes she's the only one who can see them. Rumors spread, leading to her being ostracized at school. Suddenly, one of the girls invites her to join, but she declines and immediately turns on her music as she hears someone call her name. While walking, Mei stumbles upon a festival and watches a magic show hosted by a magician named Charlie. Charlie presents a box that can make anything disappear and invites Mei to step inside. Though reluctant at first, she agrees. Once inside the pitch-black box, Mei surprisingly feels calm. Charlie counts down and then she is transported to a different place. A translucent hand wakes her, and she finds herself in an unfamiliar world where her phone no longer works. Confused, Mei almost gets run over by a carriage. Ugai, the carriage owner, checks if she's okay and notices her headphones asking about them. Shunsu also appears, and Ugai helps Mei to her feet, obsessed with complimenting her outfit. Shunsu's remark pulls Mei back to reality, and Ugai offers to take her home. Mei is suddenly hit with the realization that she doesn't remember where her home is, trembling. She accepts Ugai's offer to ride with them. While in the carriage, Ugai asks for her name, but Mei can't recall it. Ugai and Shunsu introduce themselves, and suddenly a voice speaks Mei's name, wondering where it came from. They arrive at a Rokumaikan ball hosted for the crown prince. Mei recognizes this, but it shouldn't exist in the present. Shunsu is skeptical about bringing Mei due to her odd attire, but Ugai reassures her. Distracted by the smell of roast beef, Mei bumps into a server carrying the dish. The plate flies into Kyoka's hands, who throws it away, and it lands in Otojiro's hands. As Otojiro and Kyoka argue, Mei notices a rabbit on Kyoka's shoulder, which Kyoka recoils. Otojiro then teases Mei, thinking she wants to dance with him. Mei clarifies the misunderstanding and again points out the rabbit, which Otojiro cannot see, suggesting she may have seen a ghost. Yakumo suddenly interrupts and introduces himself to Mei before dancing with her. As they dance, Mei spots Charlie, the magician who made her disappear. She confronts him, and Charlie admits he has been looking for her and is surprised that he successfully transported her from the present to the past. He then snaps his fingers and vanishes as the lights go out. Mei sees a fox jumping around, and as Kyoka approaches it, Goro prepares to strike it with his sword. Mei jumps in to protect the fox, prompting Goro to ask if she's a Tamiori. The lights come back on, and Ugai steps in, claiming Mei as his fiancée and declaring her to be his. Mei flashes back to the previous night when Ugai called her his fiancée, then wakes up. She was flustered at the thought. Heading to the balcony, she recalls everything that happened the night before. Yakumo and Ugai had distracted Goro by discussing her outfit, giving Ugai the chance to whisk Mei away from the ball and offer her a place to stay at his mansion. As memories of everyone she met at the ball flood her mind, she realizes she has traveled through time. A loud cannon blast startles her, but Shunsu reassures her that it's only the clock. Mei notices Shunsu's paintings and that the middle of one is blank. Ugai enters, teasing Mei by calling her a little squirrel, referring to how she trembled the night before. He tells her she's free to stay until her memory returns and flirts, adding she's welcome to stay regardless since she's his fiancée. When Ugai suggests they go out to eat, Mei asks for a beef bowl, surprising both Ugai and Shunsu due to its rarity. Mei then suggests only having the 380 yen bowl, which further surprises them both as it's a huge amount from their perspectives. Mei then realizes the currency was different back then. Struggling with her kimono, Fumi helps her, and they head to a sukiyaki restaurant. While eating, Ugai remembers meeting Shunsu a year ago, finding him drawing a cat while Ugai was bathing, leading to an awkward encounter when Shunsu accidentally saw him naked. Ugai asks Mei if she can find Shunsu's missing cat. She assumes it's a normal cat, but Ugai explains it's a ghoul, and as a Tamiori, Mei can see spirits. He further explains that Tamiori, people who can see spirits, are rare since spirits have gone into hiding. Mei recalls that the black cat was missing from Shunsu's painting, but is puzzled as to how she knew that. Ugai praises her and says finding the cat is important to Shunsu. He says that it will only be possible if she is indeed a Tamiori, just like what Goro accused him of. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls Mei's name, terrifying her as she covers her ears. Later at home, Shunsu advises her not to take Ugai's words too seriously and leaves. Charlie then appears, inviting Mei to meet with him. Mei convinces Charlie to take her back to her own time, but he says it can only happen in a month when the moon is full, replicating the conditions that brought her here. He advises her to enjoy her time in the past and be herself. Determined to help, Mei interrupts Shunsu before he starts painting the blank spot on his canvas, promising to find the black cat for him. She notices Fumi scrubbing the floors on all fours and asks if Ogai has extra sticks and clothes. Mei crafts makeshift mops and helps Fumi clean the house, much to Ugai's amusement. He watches Mei, intrigued by who she is. Charlie bids Mei good luck on her journey ahead. The wind howled as Goro and Yakumo stood inside a dark house. Reflected in Goro's sword was the image of a spirit. Meanwhile, Mei and Shunsu found themselves being forced to eat red beans and tea by Ugai. Afterward, Mei and Shunsu ventured off in search of the cat. Shunsu was puzzled, remarking that spirits could only be seen at dawn and dusk. They bump into Kyoka and Yakumo. Both groups noticed each other, and Mei pointed out that the rabbit was no longer sitting on Kyoka's shoulder. This confirmed Kyoka's suspicion that Mei was a Tamiori, someone who could interact with spirits. Kyoka passed on Yakumo's request to Mei, and Yakumo eagerly asked for her help. They returned to Ugai's place, where Yakumo revealed his request. He wanted to see his childhood friend Jane, a spirit who had appeared to him during his parents' divorce. One day, they were playing and Jane revealed her blank face to Yakumo. This scared him, screaming, after Jane disappeared. He never saw Jane again because he lost his eye, and until this day he was haunted by that happening. However, recently, since the moon appeared, he began to experience paranormal stuff. He thought that it was Jane's wrath on him for treating her like that, and he wanted to make amends by letting her kill him if she desires to. Ugai advised against Mei taking on such a dangerous task, but Mei, determined, insisted on helping Yakumo. Ugai reluctantly agreed but assigned Shunsu to act as her bodyguard since he couldn't accompany them himself. Later, in Yakumo's hotel, Shunsu and Mei found themselves alone. They talked, and the conversation drifted to how Mei felt when Ugai had called her his fiancée. Shunsu didn't push further and instead began drawing spirits from his imagination. Mei joined in, attempting to sketch the spirits she saw. During this, Shunsu confessed that he envied Mei's ability to see another world, and if he had that power, he would depict everything in his art. As he spoke, he noticed that Mei had fallen asleep and gently let her rest her head on his shoulder. Suddenly, Jane appeared, startling Mei awake. She screamed, bringing Yakumo rushing into the room and Goro crashing through the window, ready to attack Jane, whose figure was reflected in Goro's sword. Mei, however, intervened, standing in front of Goro. Yakumo, apologizing, begged Jane to kill him. Mei, using her abilities, interpreted Jane's feelings. It turned out that Jane had always been by Yakumo's side. She had only disappeared out of embarrassment for scaring him, and the red moon had caused a surge in her power, which she could not control. Yakumo spins in glee, losing sight of Jane. He feels a warm touch on his cheek. Jane tells him that she will always be with him, then disappears. Outside, Mei thanked Yakumo for helping her discover a new side of herself and expressed her gratitude to Shunsu for encouraging her. Ugai soon arrived, hugging both Mei and Shunsu. Yakumo then tried to take Mei's hand, offering his devotion, but Ugai swiftly interrupted, grabbing her hand and leaving both Shunsu and Yakumo speechless. Mei dreamt of walking with Ugai and Shunsu, holding Ugai's hand, but familiar faces turned into judgmental girls from Tokyo. Ugai and Shunsu vanished, leaving Mei back in her old life with her phone. Waking up confused, she pondered the dream. Later, Wu Weizan visited, criticizing his choice of Mei as a fiancée. After the visit, Ugai informed Shunsu and Mei that he would formally present her as his fiancée at the next Rokumaiken event, shocking them both. Ugai then took Mei to Asakusa's flower district. When Mei was bumped by a man, Ugai held her hand to prevent her from getting lost. They encountered fans of Otojiro, whom Mei didn't recall, but Ugai promised they'd see his play later. They stopped for ice cream, and Ugai playfully wiped a drip from Mei's face, making her flustered. Afterward, they went to get Mei's picture taken. She relaxed when she learned it only cost 16 yen. However, when Ugai told her how much sukiyaki she could buy, Mei toppled over in surprise, capturing the photo at that moment. During the play, Mei and Ugai discussed the Golden Demon, which Mei recognized. Ugai explained the plot, and Mei predicted a sad ending. Ugai was amused by her knowledge of English literature, particularly Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet. As the play began, characters mentioned a 300 yen diamond, which Mei considered cheap, but Ugai commented that it equaled 60 million bowls of sukiyaki. When Otojiro appeared on stage, Mei recognized him from the previous Rokumaiken event. After the play, Ugai expressed his happiness that Mei was enjoying herself, believing that exposing her to various experiences might help her regain her memory. Mei felt slightly guilty for Ugai's efforts, but was reassured when he invited her to stay at his mansion and join him for dinner. While at dinner, they both ate beefsteak. Ugai complimented her on her Western table manners, her fondness of Shakespeare, and her enjoyment of food, and then he told her that she would do fine when she's formally introduced as his fiancée. Mei was still reluctant, but Ugai told her that she should believe in herself and lean towards her. This flusters Mei, leading her to send the fork flying into a noblewoman's hair. The woman speaking with Ugai introduced her daughter and asked Mei about her family. The woman was surprised when Ugai said she was a commoner and that he was attracted to her not by her pedigree, but her soul. Back home, Shunsu asked Mei about her table manners, noticing her dazed expression as she spilled tea. Mei expressed doubts about being worthy of Ugai's fiancé compared to the noblewoman's daughter. Shunsu reassured her, saying if someone as impressive as Ugai believes in her, she should trust his judgment. Later, Mei found herself on a busy street and noticed a beautiful brunette being harassed by a man. The woman slapped his hand away, and as he left, Mei approached her, asking if she could help her become a proper woman. The geisha agreed, and Mei followed her. The geisha dragged Mei to her geisha house, the Kagurazaka. Mei was confused as to what that was, but the geisha clarified that it was a boarding house where women trained to do tea ceremonies, singing, dancing, and many others. Mei got excited by that and asked if she could also do those things if she would train, to which the geisha agreed. She said that she could even become like the daughter of a noble. As part of the training, the geisha criticized Mei's unladylike behavior and mannerisms. However, Mei took this as a challenge, to which the geisha became intrigued. Then she ordered Mei to take off her clothes, and as Mei was doing that, she almost accidentally took off her last piece of clothing, which made the geisha flustered and told her to stop. The geisha composes herself and starts organizing Mei's hair. While doing this, she asked why Mei was so determined. Mei told the geisha that she wanted to not let Ube down and think that she was strange. The geisha uttered that she was in love, to which Mei didn't hear properly. Once her hair was finished, she put makeup on Mei. Mei, with her eyes closed, seemed to attract the geisha, which led her to go close to Mei as if kissing her. This was interrupted by Mei muttering hello, which led to the geisha quickly going to the other side to tell Mei to wear the kimono she was holding. The geisha told her she dresses way too sloppy. She also notes that men can tell a girl's upbringing by how she wears her kimono. Afterward, she told Mei to walk, criticizing her as she walked briskly. Mei fell from the shock. Thinking about taking the drastic measures, she gets a long wooden stick and starts commanding her posture on what to do and her mannerisms, slapping her with the stick when she does it incorrectly. Mei remarks that being a lady is hard. Suddenly, the door opened, revealing the mother of the geisha house. The geisha told her to get Mei fish for dinner, to which Mei denied, but her stomach was rumbling, so she agreed to be fed. The geisha told her that it was also a test. As they began eating, Mei drugged way too deep on the fish, which warranted a scolding from the geisha. After eating, the geisha told her to come back tomorrow, but advised her to not tell anyone about them and what they were doing. As Mei was going home, it was revealed that the geisha was Otojiro in disguise. Back at home, Shunsu noticed that Mei had lipstick on. Wondering what this is, Shunsu questioned Mei about it, to which Mei begged Shunsu to not tell Ugai about this. So in exchange, Shunsu pinned Mei to the door and told her to be his model. Mei declined, saying that she wouldn't want to be naked. Clarifying that it isn't naked, Shunsu asked her again, but this was interrupted by Ugai, telling Shunsu about his manners when asking people to be his model. Shortly after, Shunsu left. Mei is getting traditional geisha makeup. She's also being taught proper manners as a geisha to the customers. Kyoka then opens the door, complaining why he also has to dress up as a geisha. He gets complimented by Mei on how good he looks. He still complains, and Mei reassures him that it's only for tonight. They get told that the banquet will be attended by important people, and Mei gets nervous, but Otoyako reassures Mei that she'll be fine and Otoyako will be watching her. At the banquet, Mei is greeted by Yakumo with a compliment on how beautiful geisha Mei it is. She then notices that Shunsu is there and eventually bumps into Ugai with Otoyako. As Mei leaves to serve the customers, Ugai and Otoyako then get into a heated conversation about who will keep Mei. Mei and Chioka then get harassed by the drunk customers, but Shunsu calls Mei to do something for him to get her out of the situation. Mei notices that Kyoka is still being harassed and she goes back to defend him, but Shunsu tries to stop her, arguing that Kyoka can defend himself as he is a man. Mei argues back that Kyoka is a germaphobe, so she has to help him. Shunsu mutters, "Why do you try hard for everyone?" Kyoka then just runs away from being a geisha to avoid the harassment. A disguised Charlie then interrupts the banquet and introduces Tuski. Shunsu then explains that Tuski is a famous investor and a foremost figure in electrical generator research. Charlie then performs for the audience. His act is summoning a camel. The audience and Ugai are fascinated by the camel, and Ugai even goes closer. Mei-san then warns him to be careful. As Ugai touched the camel, it went on a rampage and trampled the whole banquet. Charlie and Mei then have a conversation about the full moon, but Mei seems sad that she has to go back to her period so soon. As soon as Mei looks up, the room becomes clean again and Fukuzawa Yukichi enters. Mei was shocked as she recognized him as the guy on the 10,000 yen bill. Goro also attends the banquet as Yukichi's bodyguard. Yukichi is there to listen to Tuski's speech about electricity. As Tuski speaks about electricity, the guests voice out their various concerns and state that electricity is a curse and the devil's light as it kills humans. Tuski argues that electricity is vital for the future of Japan, but is met with criticisms that it's only a silly dream. May then interrupts the conversation and tells them it's not just a silly dream. To support this claim, May tells them the possible uses of electricity that she knows of. Hearing May's claims, Yukichi decides to support Tuski. Tuski then thanks May and applauds her for her various uses of electricity in people's everyday lives. Tuski then grabs May's hand, kisses it, and states he would like her by his side to get all her knowledge. Ugai interrupts by calling out to May, saying that he's scared she might get taken away and asks her to stay with him for a long time, to which May agrees as they hug. On a rainy day, Kyoka writes a play titled Demon Pond, but the characters for I Am Resentful leave the page and float up in the air. May then is seen daydreaming about the cutlet at Rengati and Ugai. She then remembers the scene from the night Ugai asks her to stay while hugging her, but is interrupted by the thought of Charlie being able to send her back to her own time on the next full moon. As the weather clears up, May invites Shunsu to come and look for the black cat again. As May and Shunsu are looking for the cat, they stumble upon a guy feeding a flock of pigeons. The pigeons notice that May is holding a silver vine. Because of this, the birds chase them. As they are running away, May throws away the silver vine so that they can get away from the pigeons, but they find themselves beside the Shinobuzu pond. As they are walking in the tall grass, they hear a mysterious lullaby. As they come closer, they find that it was Kyoka who was singing. Kyoka notices them and becomes shy. As May and Shunsu are about to leave, Kyoka shouts at them, attempting to clear the misunderstanding that he might be some weirdo who likes to sing to himself staring at a pond. Kyoka then explains that he was writing a play called Demon Pond, but the character Shirayuki, the dragon goddess, materialized as a spirit and left his script ending up at Shinobuzu Pond. He states that this is the cause of the non-stop rain and that he cannot continue writing his play until the goddess returns. Hearing of this, May wants to help Kyoka find Shirayuki so that he can finish the play. Back at the mansion, Ugai denies May and reminds her that she was already tasked with finding Shunsu's black cat. Shunsu is also reprimanded on why they were in such a dangerous area. Afterward, Shunsu also expresses that Ugai isn't the only one worried about her. Since it was raining, Goro and his troops were putting sandbags around the pond to prevent flooding from the non-stop heavy rain. Kyoka notices May back at the pond and tries to hear what she's saying. There, May tries to show empathy for the spirit, telling her situation that they are similar to not being able to be with the people they love, as she has to leave Ugai in 2 weeks, even if she wants to stay. Goro then notices the dragon figure in the point and tries to slash it, thinking it was a ghost. The dragon then goes on to rampage to express its anger and anguish. Amidst the rampage of the dragon's spirit, May jumps into the pond attempting to stop it. Because of the turbulent waves, May falls into the pond, but Ugai dives into the pond to save her and Kyoka follows. While falling in the pond, May still tries to convince the spirit to go back to Kyoka. As May loses consciousness, she's then saved by Ugai. Kyoka then hugs the spirit, pleading for it to come back. Because of these two acts, the spirit returns and the rain stops. The next day, Kyoka expresses his thanks to May. Goro has a nightmare about fighting an old friend possessed by a ghost. As he slashes his friend, the ghost transfers to his sword and the friend ends up being an empty husk. May practices the waltz with Ugai but stumbles amidst the steps. Bothered by this, Shunsu then proclaims that he shall go looking for the cat again, arguing that it's better than just staying inside all day. May then follows him to look for the cat. While walking, Shunsu asks May why she followed him. May states that it's more important to focus on searching for the cat. Shunsu replies that Ugai has ordered an expensive dress for May. May then asks him why he's seemingly mad at her. Yakumo then bumps into the two of them. May tells him that they are looking for a cat, so Yakumo suggests going to a cat cafe with him. They encounter Kyoka and his sensei arguing on the way. Kuka's sensei, thinking that May is his fan, flirts with her. Kyoka is then chased by a small dog and runs away while May and the others follow him. They bump into Otojiro and they all decide to go eat at the aforementioned cat cafe. The cat cafe turns out to be Goro's house and the cats do indeed gather around there. They tell Goro that they are looking for a black cat, so that's why they go to his house. Kyoka then remarks that the house is clean and Yakumo adds that Goro is good at all household chores. Otojiro, Kyoka, and Yakumo decide to help out with the cooking, but it is shown that Yakumo is incompetent when it comes to it. On the other hand, Kyoka worries about the germs and Otojiro is just looking for alcohol to drink. While May and Shunsu are looking at the cats who gathered there, they are surprised when Ugai unexpectedly arrives. During dinner, May enjoys Kyoka's miso soup, but Ugai being overprotective of May prevents May from tasting Otojiro's steak and Yakumo's sliced pickles, stating that she is his fiancée. Otojiro retorts that he is rather petty for being jealous over such a thing, while Yakumo challenges Ugai to a round of tiger to see who gets to feed Mei. Goro then leaves the room stating he's had enough and goes to wash the dishes. While washing, Goro recalls the ghost that possessed his katana after he was forced to kill his friend, who had been possessed by the ghost, but is interrupted by Mei offering to help him wash the dishes. After Goro sews up Mei's kimono that was clawed by the cats earlier, she declines his offer of joining his division as a Tamiori because she believes that spirits are complicated like humans and can have good hearts. Suddenly, Mei becomes dizzy and various scenes flash into her mind. Shunsu, Odojiro Kyoka, and Yakumo drunkenly try to separate Mei from Goro. Ugai, having a private conversation with Goro, hears that Mei already declined Goro's offer. Goro then thinks that the group is an unruly bunch but isn't so bad. Mei remembers the vision she had when she felt dizzy at Goro's, particularly the scene where her high school classmates are weary of her because she can see and befriend ghosts. As Ugai takes a break from writing his novel, he looks out the window and stares at Mei, who is in the balcony staring into nothingness, fears that she may soon leave him. He then proclaims to himself that he will finish the novel for her. Mei thinks that there will be a full moon soon and she may be able to go back to her own time, but she laments that she wants to stay by Ugai's side. She is then caught pacing around Ugai's study because she's sad that she hasn't been able to see Ugai all day. The next morning, Mei is restless and debates to herself ways to be able to see Ugai. During breakfast, she learns from Shunsu that Ugai is preoccupied with writing, which is why he hasn't been seen around lately. She's saddened by the fact that Ugai suddenly appears at the table and her mood instantly becomes better. She asks what the novel is about and he tells her it's a romance novel. He then leaves shortly, barely touching his food to write again, but it seems he's stuck. While doing chores, Mei fantasizes about what the novel could be but laments the fact that Ugai will be holed up in his room once more. Dogs then suddenly bark loudly from over the house fences and Mei rushes over to quiet them down to not break Ugai's focus. Mei then notices that Ugai is taking a bath midday, which isn't his normal schedule that he adamantly adheres to. Then suddenly, Tenshin Okakura, who is Ubi's drinking buddy and Shunsu's art teacher, barges into the mansion to show his overwhelming support for Ugai, writing the romance novel, and Shunsu, painting the Black Cat masterpiece. After he leaves, Mei notices that Ugai is holding his toiletries and tells him he just took a bath. Being confronted with this, Ugai then retreats to his study and asks himself what is wrong with him. During the night, Mei thinks that she doesn't want to go home. Charlie suddenly appears and Mei kicks him out of surprise. She asks him why he's there and he replies that he has a feeling that she wants to talk to him. Charlie tells her that soon there will be a full moon and he will be able to bring her back in a flash as promised before. Mei then states that she doesn't want to leave and stay with Ugai. Charlie, acting surprised, suggests that she should just stay as no one is forcing her to leave. Mei then becomes overjoyed that she is allowed to stay. Charlie says that she can tell him whenever she changes her mind and leaves. Ugai then sees Mei on the balcony and worries if she will disappear just as she appears on a full moon. Ugai then resolves again that he will finish the novel. While writing, a spirit-like woman touches his hand named Elise. Ugai panics and darts away from his novel. He asks if the spirit still resents him and won't let him finish the novel. He resolves that if that's the case, then so be it, as he already has run out of time, thinking that Mei will disappear on the next full moon. The next morning, while daydreaming about Ugai and resolving to wait for him, he suddenly appears in front of Mei asking him to join him for sweets along with Shunsu. Shunsu doesn't come along, making an excuse of his stomach hurting. At the restaurant, while eating sweets, Mei asks about the progress of Ugai's novel. Mei notices that Ugai gets disheartened by this, so she shifts the talk to various other recent events in her life. While eating the sweet red bean dessert, Ugai mentions that he might stop writing for good, stating that he would be able to spend more time with her. Contrary to Ugai's expected reaction from Mei, she is saddened by this and urges him to finish the novel as she would like to read it. Ugai coldly states that he cannot finish it. Back at the mansion, she says again that she would like for Ugai to finish the novel as quitting midway doesn't seem like him. Mei then learns from Shunsu that the novel Ugai is writing is about his former lover whom he met during his studies abroad in Germany. Shunsu adds that since Ugai was studying abroad as a public figure, the people around them were against them marrying, so Ugai decided to break off and still regrets it. Meanwhile, Ugai pleads that Ellis should not appear anymore since he decided to quit. Shunsu adds that Ugai is doing it for Mei. Mei finally enters the study, only to find a fountain pen near the unfinished romance novel. She then rushes out and is informed by Fumi that Ugai is headed into town. While hurriedly running into town, she mistakenly hugs someone that resembles Ugai. Mei offers her apologies and continues to town. Shunsu stops Mei and brings her back to her senses by hugging her and saying that he could not stand to see her so frantic. After Shunsu spots Ugai standing near a tree at the riverbank, Shunsu calls out to Mei. While leaning on the tree, Uwe smokes and says that Elise is an illusion of his past that would vanish once he stopped writing, but it brings him so much pain to face her. Mei then arrives and gives Ugai a hug, which changes his mood. He pushes her away, but she says that she still loves him even if he's upset. Once again, Mei shows her support and vows to stay by Ugai's side. Mei then hands him his fountain pen. Elise then shows up again, this time seemingly happy. Afterwards, Ugai finishes the novel but doesn't let Mei read it. Meanwhile, Shunsu tries to paint his masterpiece but gradually loses his eyesight while the black cat walks and stands outside the room. Ugai shows him mock-up of a golden ball gown and asks for Mei's opinion. Mei thinks it's pretty and Ugai tells Mei that it's hers to wear for the upcoming formal presentation, which she seems to have forgotten. Fumi adds that Mei will look like a princess from a fairy tale. Ugai also asks Shunsu, but all Shunsu could reply was Mei since his eyesight was going bad. Later, Fumi notices that the box for the bonito flakes is switched with Shunsu's box full of brushes. Fumi also informs Mei that Shunsu left for Tokyo University of the Arts at Ueno. Mei volunteers to deliver that paintbrush box to Shunsu. At school, Shunsu notices his mistake along with his friend Taken. His friend teases him for it along with his classmates. His friend then offers to let him borrow his equipment but is interrupted when Mei suddenly arrives to deliver the paintbrush box. His classmates then get jealous of him thinking that Mei was his girlfriend. Shunsu brings Mei outside to avoid his jealous classmates. Outside, Shunsu thanks Mei and apologizes for the behavior of his classmates. Mei also apologizes for causing the misunderstanding, to which Shunsu retorts that he doesn't mind. Taken then arrives after chasing after them. He tells Shunsu that he's been holding out on him by keeping a secret that he has such a cute girlfriend. Mei then clears up the misunderstanding that she's not Shunsu's girlfriend. Taken then reminds Shunsu of their plan to revolutionize the art world at the upcoming exhibition. He states that he only needs the finishing touches on his work and also asks Shunsu about the progress of his painting with the black cat. Shunsu then says that he might not make it as he cannot paint. Taken pieces together that Shunsu hasn't been to the doctor for his eyes. Taken berates him for not getting surgery and says that he'll be the only one to revolutionize the art world if Shunsu gives up just like that. Taken walks away in frustration but still pleads that Shunsu goes to the doctor before Taken leaves. Mei is shocked by this and asks why Shunsu has not considered the surgery. Shunsu fears that he might go blind if the eye surgery does not work. Shunsu discards all of his drawings and tells Mei to leave him alone. Shunsu then thinks that all he can see are blurry figures and color, and yet Mei seems to always shine so brightly in his memories. A remorseful Shunsu is shocked when Mei returns with his discarded drawings despite all the trouble she went through to retrieve them all. Mei then reminds Shunsu of his promise to paint a portrait of Mei. Shunsu thinks he doesn't want to paint Mei and his eyesight goes back and his motivation is rekindled. Mei spots the missing black cat walking and they decide to chase it, taking Shunsu back to the mansion, where it reappears on his masterpiece, much to Ugai's joy. Looking at the painting and being reminded of the moon, Mei suddenly says she remembers everything. Mei remembers the memories that she had lost. She remembers that she had grown up in a house that's a small antique shop. In that house, she befriended spirits during childhood thinking it was a normal thing. She eventually found out that she was different from her classmates as she was the only one who could see the spirits, so she stopped interacting with spirits and humans altogether. But a voice constantly kept calling to her, and because of this, she used headphones to block out the voice. Mei realizes that she has changed a lot and she has been able to become her true self ever since Charlie's magic sent her to the Meiji era and she met Ugai. Knowing this, she thinks that she could now change her response to her classmates asking her out and go out with them. Charlie then talks with Mei through her mind, and Mei realizes that Charlie has been the voice all along. Charlie expresses that he's truly happy that Mei has grown a lot. The conversation is cut short since Ugai was calling for Mei. In good mood, Ugai presents Mei with a golden ball gown. She says that it's beautiful and asks if she may wear it immediately. Fumi assists Mei with wearing the gown and does her makeup. Ugai then asks Mei for a dance and they share a waltz in front of Shunsu, who looks sad, and Fumi. In the morning, Mei strolls around the places where events during the past month occurred. She longingly stared at them as if to take them in one last time. Later that night, Ugai says that he will go ahead of Mei to the Rokumaiken as he needs to greet foreign guests and she should follow after she's done preparing. During the ball at the Rokumaiken on the night of the strawberry full moon, Mei surprisingly arrives wearing her school uniform instead of the golden ball gown. Having seen this, Yakumo says it's the exact dress she wore when they first met and asks for a dance. On the other hand, Ugai storms out of the party. Yakumo, Tusuki, Odojiro, Kyoka, and Goro each share a waltz with Mei, with each of them saying something about their particular dynamics with Mei. After dancing, Mei notices that Shunsu is waiting for her outside. Shunsu then says that he had always hoped that her memories would never come back and she would stay with them. Shunsu then tells Mei that Ugai is at the park where they first met, and as Mei runs past him, Shunsu says his goodbyes. At the park where Mei first met Ugai, they confess their love for each other before she bids him a heartfelt farewell. But before she was about to leave, she ran back to Ugai to kiss him. Charlie transports Mei back to the modern age and wishes her to live her life happily, and she finally gets a chance to hang out with her high school classmates. Otojiro, Kyoka, Goro, Yakumo, and Tusuki invite Ugai and Shunsu for a meal together.